Celebrations underway at the state capitol, mixed with disappointment from opponents, but gay marriage will be legal in Minnesota. The Senate passing the bill 37-30. It just needs Governor Dayton's signature now, and the governor will do that from the Capitol steps at this time tomorrow.
All day long, the Capitol was filled to capacity with supporters and opponents waiting to see if Minnesota would be the 12th state allowing same-sex marriage.
Another historic vote following the House approving the bill last week. Fox 9's Tim Lotz live at the state capitol now for more on this. So Tim, describe the emotion. We saw a whole lot of it last time around. Where are we at now?
Oh my, this Capitol building exploded in cheers from the very moment that this 37-30 vote was announced here this afternoon, Heidi. In fact, I was in the Senate chambers when this vote came down, and you could just hear the eruption of emotion pouring through the walls of this building out onto the Senate floor. Not even a close vote in the end. Again, 7 votes separating it all. But again, the thousands of people here just erupted. In fact, let's take a look right now at the celebration the moment this vote was announced. Take a look. Believe it or not, this may have been a bigger crowd than it was here for the House vote that happened last week Thursday here at the Capitol. Thousands of people here, almost every one of them in support of the same-sex marriage bill. There was a wing of the Capitol downstairs on the ground floor that was set aside for Minnesotans for marriage, for them to view all of this. There were prayer sessions there most of the day, but they were strongly outnumbered here by the supporters today. Of course, this was more than a political victory for Senator Scott Dibble. He was joined by House sponsor Karen Clark today. This is both a personal stake in it for them as well. Let's listen right now to Senator Dibble's speech on the floor.
I am proud to be a Minnesotan today. Today we have the power, the awesome, humbling power to make dreams come true.
Those in support of legalizing gay marriage in Minnesota are reaching the end of a long-fought battle. Ellen's following the breaking developments here from the news desk. And Ellen, the Senate just voted on this bill a few minutes ago.
They did, Eric, and it passed. This is another leap toward an overall historic move. Minnesota is all but certain to allow same-sex marriages starting August 1st. Now, on Thursday, you remember that the House passed the measure with a vote of 75-59. The Senate just gave the go-ahead 10 minutes ago with a vote of 37-30. Governor Dayton says that he will sign the bill into law at 5 p.m. tomorrow on the steps of the state capitol. And you can bet both supporters and maybe even opponents will be on hand, because they certainly were today. Down the hill in downtown St. Paul, the Wabasha Street Bridge is lined with rainbow gay pride flags, and Mayor Chris Coleman temporarily renamed it to the Freedom to Marry Bridge. He also proclaimed this week as Freedom to Marry Week in St. Paul. 5 Eyewitness News reporter Jessica Miles is at the Capitol right now. So, Jess, what is the atmosphere there?
Ellen, I gotta tell you, the Capitol is a big place, and we do live shots here all the time, and we never have any difficulty, but it is tough today. The Capitol is packed, and people are pumped. Of course, this vote just happened, as you mentioned, about 10 minutes ago. So as we speak, senators are leaving the Senate chambers. We're on the first floor, so they're coming down from the second floor. They're coming down this gallant stairwell here, and people are cheering, and people are waving at their senators. They're very excited about today's vote. We'll kind of move off and see if we can see some of that. But people have been here all day long awaiting this. I talked to a mom who took off on Thursday, took off of work. She took off again today. She has been here since 10:30 this morning because of her daughter, who eventually showed up to support her as well. But people are here, are crying, they're laughing, they're excited. We know that the bill's author, Scott Dibble, is going to be making his way down to the rotunda. Also, we assume with the Majority Leader, Senate Majority Leader, here to talk to people who have been waiting to hear from their senators all day about this and are very excited about their vote as well. We're live at the Capitol. I'm Jessica Miles, 5 Eyewitness News.
Today's emotionally charged debate was personal for some senators. Opponents failed to pass any amendments on the bill, so it remained unchanged. Just one Republican crossed party lines voting yes. 2 Democrats voted no. Heather Brown is at the Capitol, where immediately following the vote, supporters rallied in the rotunda. Heather?
Amelia, we saw something unique today. You saw senators hugging each other out on the Senate floor after the vote. You saw Senate staffers coming out of their offices to see just what was going on. There were double the crowds that there were here on Thursday. And as I mentioned before, you had a similar excitement, you had a similar energy, but you had a different vibe. You didn't have this apprehension. You had some people knowing what was going to happen. You had more of a feeling that this was a celebration.
A few seconds before the vote was the only quiet we heard all day, until the eruption of screams, hugs, and tears.
I don't even have words right now. I spent a long time wishing that I was the same as everybody else, and now I really am. I'm a real Minnesotan now.
I just broke down in tears. Like everyone around us, we were hugging strangers. It was just so emotional, so overpowering.
People began to gather hours before the debate even began. Many of the supporters packed the rotunda on every floor. And most of the opponents stood on the steps of the Capitol outside. This man protesting what he calls the death of marriage.
You keep the institution, in a sense, you keep the big party, but its meaning, its purpose is gone.
And these women supporting what they believe is history.
And someday people are going to say, well, where were you when it finally passed? I can say I was here.
A day that lived up to what many here had hoped for.
Oh, it's wonderful. We've been waiting for this for so many years, and it's just the greatest day ever.
On Thursday, when the House did take their vote, we had many people who opposed this legislation out here. Today, not quite as many, maybe only a handful of the 2,500 people who were out here. But the group Minnesotans for Marriage, the group that opposes this legislation, did release a statement right after the vote, which happened at 4:30 today. They said, quote, "It upends our most foundational institution of marriage." They also said it provides little protection for people of faith. Amelia?
All right, Heather, thank you. In celebration of today's landmark vote, Mayor Chris Coleman declared this week Freedom to Marry Week in St. Paul. Pride flags now line the Wabasha Street Bridge as part of the celebration. And tomorrow the city will throw a Love is Law concert. It begins with a procession from the Capitol lawn to Ecolab Plaza. There will be live music and speakers from 6 until 10:30 tomorrow night.
Certainly a lot of people on the Capitol steps during the discussion in the Senate. Many, many more inside the Capitol. And here was their reaction when the Senate passed the gay marriage bill. Obviously, thousands of people excited about what happened here today. We're going to talk to people on both sides of the issue in just a moment. But first, we're going to go to John Coleman, who's inside to talk more about today's vote. John?
No, we heard a lot of yelling all day today, and it was kind of throwing us off because normally when you hear a crowd erupt in applause, it's because something has passed. But today, they were applauding all day long, the people who were in favor of same-sex marriage. And so it was one of those days where, is this it? Is this it? And it was just, this enthusiasm, this energy in this crowd just continued throughout the day. They're kind of starting to trickle out of the building here. There's still a few people lingering, just kind of savoring the victory the way you would after, some people would after a major sports event. But today, earlier, what we heard was people give pretty serious and passionate speeches on both sides of this issue, and we also heard people kind of accepting that this thing was going to pass, but at the same time wanting to go on the record, let their constituents know why they are voting the way they were and how they arrived at this decision, which is a very important decision for them. Here's some of the highlights from the debate.
We will have left Minnesota a better place. That is really why we're here. That is our job.
There's a lot of celebrating going on today, but there's also a lot of grieving going on today. Grieving because there are many people in this state that do not believe that this is the right thing to do.
Now, we saw a lot of those pink signs. Now, the person you just heard from was Dan Hall, who's former Senate chaplain, and he's a Republican from Burnsville, and he's been very adamantly opposed to same-sex marriage. Senator Dibble, who's the person who was the chief author of this bill, also had a lot of words today and thanking a lot of people. Orange, as you can see, has been the color of the day here at the Capitol. We did see some of the pink signs, the vote no signs, but indoors it was mainly kind of an ocean of orange throughout the day. I'm going to toss it back out to Randy and Julie for more.
All right. Thank you, John.